Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for checking out the channel. Sorry it's been a few days there since I've really been making much content. I've been really under the weather with the flu this past week, so finally starting to feel better, so just want to get into another video here with you guys. So this is another video of RFK Jr.'s campaign. He's just really hammering home these really great points about how the working class is now the working poor. And I just want to watch this video with you guys, then we'll react to that and we'll get some analysis after that, and then we'll go from there.
In the 90s, the Democratic Party shifted right. The entire working class, red states and blue states, have been left behind structurally. They're suffering, right? And so Republicans make promises to the working class, and Democrats make promises to the working class. And neither of them get their needs met because both parties have abandoned the working class, including now the working poor. See, a lot of people who think they're working class, they're not working class. Like if you actually look at what they have in their savings compared to what the average person had spending wise in their savings in the 70s, 1960s, 50s, right? We're actually the working poor. Most of us who think that we're working class are actually $600 to $1,000 away from an unrecoverable emergency. That's not the working man's fault. The working man didn't do that. Because of technology, we're actually 4 times as productive as we used to be. But because nobody's looking out for the working class, they have literally shrunken in terms of their wealth into the working poor. The meritocracy has failed because wages have not kept up with expenses. And that has a lot to do with the destruction of the countervailing powers, the crony capitalists. See, crony capitalists have always been there. But what we had was a strong working class, labor union sector whereby people could collectively bargain to the point where wages kept track with expenses. That was destroyed in this country. And it's no coincidence that our wages have stagnated since the 80s because that's when this separation began. We're going to make sure that we remedy that. And I'm not going to serve my corporate donors. I'm going to serve the people who are actually voting for me. I think a lot of politics forgets that, you realize that our most popular president ever was FDR. Without these big donor bases, without these corporate sponsorships, without these super PACs, what did he do? Just freaking serve. Just serve. The Kennedys would have been on that path as well. Just serve. Look at the people, serve them. Take care of their needs, and they're going to show up to the polls, and they're going to overwhelm you. They're going to overwhelm the opposition to get you back into office. When you lift the economy from the bottom, everybody wins. That's the America that we got to get back to. If you like this video.
So yeah, now that wasn't RFK Jr. there. That was his campaign advisor, which he made a lot of good points there. He was, especially when he's talking about the stagnant wages from the 80s. I remember I was born in 1988, so I don't really remember too much about the 80s, but I remember like my parents, were able to, work together, save up, got a little bit of help as well, but they were able to also buy a house and raise 2 children and have 2 cars. And my dad, at least for a good portion, when I was younger, worked for a union, and they always bargained their wages. And now that we don't have that, our wages aren't going up. But yet, bills are going up, rent's going up, groceries are going up, gas is going up. So it's like, and I remember hearing about this like maybe 10, 15 years ago, where one of my friends was telling me that the middle class was essentially being eliminated. And 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't that bad. I was 20 years old. I was living on my own, and I could pretty easily afford that. Rent was only $750, and that was in Burlington, Ontario, right by the lake. Like now, that same apartment is probably around $2,000. Well, if you're paying $750 a month in rent, and you're making about $2,200, which is what I was making around that time, you can afford $750 for rent. But if rent's $2,000 and you're making $2,200, or even $2,500, even $3,000, you can't afford that. And so these people are now just being driven out onto the streets, and we really need to change that. We also need to not just increase pay, but we also need to control the prices of things as well, which I'm sure the RFK and his team will definitely touch on that a little bit more as well. But these guys are absolutely right. The working class is now the working poor, and that needs to change because the middle class is what the class that has the most people in it. That's about to change. It's now about to be the poor class that has the most people in it, and then that's a lot of people wonder why this generation or even my generation we have so much anxiety and depression and why we don't have any hope because when you were growing up in the 50s and 60s, at least you knew that if you worked really hard, yeah, you might have to work 10, 12-hour days, but you will get a house and you'll come home to your family, to your kids and your wife. The wife will do the work at home, you would go and do the work in whatever business you're in, and then you'd come home with a good paycheck. You got a car, you can afford to feed your whole family, and you can house your whole family. And then eventually you get to retire, and that house will be yours. Now, listen, I promise you, if I worked 80 hours a week, I would not be able to afford a house on my own. And even if I could, it would be like by a hair. I still wouldn't be able to save that much money. Like, what's the mortgage going to be on a even the place I rent now, which is like an average house in Hamilton? It's over $500,000. Okay, yeah, this house maybe I could do that, but this place isn't going to be worth that much for that much longer. There's going to be some sort of crash if things aren't fixed. This house is not worth over $500,000. People right now are buying houses for $2 million that really should be worth 750 or maybe $1 million. And everyone's just getting screwed. The banks are getting rich, and the poor is getting poor, and the middle class is now becoming the poor class. And it's really sad to see. And we really need to change. And this is why I continue to kind of react to these RFK Jr. videos because it's really important that he gets in office next. We cannot afford anybody else, especially as someone like a Gavin Newsom or another 4 years of Joe Biden or even another 4 years of Trump. Yes, the economy was doing pretty good under Trump, but he really didn't serve as a populist like he said. We can't afford to have this happen again. We need an RFK Jr. type, and he's the only one out there who's going to do it. Or hopefully he would do it. So again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm still a bit, you probably hear it in my voice, I'm still pretty sick. So if you notice that I'm not responding to the comments right away, not to worry, I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I'll be back shortly with another video. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great weekend.